One US dollar now buys 1.5 million Iranian rials. A loaf of bread costs a week's pay. Medicine is rationed like wartime supplies. This isn't inflation. This isn't a recession. This is a currency dying in real time. And almost nobody in the West is paying attention. But here's what makes Iran different from every other economic collapse you've heard about. This one wasn't an accident. It wasn't mismanagement. It wasn't corruption. It was engineered, step by step, over 70 years. What's happening to Iran right now isn't a crisis. It's the final phase of a financial execution that began in 1953, the year America helped overthrow Iran's democracy, seized its oil, and installed a dictator. This is that story. Tehran, January 2026. The Grand Bazaar is chaos. Vendors are changing prices 3 times a day. Customers are screaming. Nobody knows what anything costs anymore. A merchant sells a carpet in the morning for 50 million rials. By afternoon, that same money buys half as much rice as it did at breakfast. This is hyperinflation, not the textbook kind, the kind that destroys lives. Here's what it looks like on the ground. A government worker earns maybe 300 million rials per month. Sounds like a lot until you realize that's about $200. In a country where inflation hits 72% on food alone. Rent takes half, food takes the rest. Medicine? Savings? Education for your kids? Forget it. People are selling furniture to buy groceries. Families are skipping meals. The middle class is disappearing. And the currency just keeps falling. How does a currency hit zero? It doesn't happen overnight. It happens through a series of wounds, each one bleeding the economy, each one making the next wound worse. Iran's wounds started 70 years ago. In 1953, Iran had oil, lots of it. The Anglo-Iranian Oil Company, a British corporation, controlled all of it. Iran got almost nothing. So Iran's Prime Minister, Mohammad Mossadegh, nationalized the oil. He said, "This is our resource, we should benefit from it." Britain didn't like that. America didn't like that. So the CIA staged a coup, Operation Ajax. Mossadegh was overthrown. The Shah was installed. Western companies got the oil back. We made a full video on this, link in description. But here's what matters for today's story. That coup taught Iran a lesson. The West will take what it wants. And if you resist, they'll destroy your government. That lesson created the 1979 revolution, the hostage crisis, 45 years of confrontation with America, and eventually the sanctions that are strangling Iran right now. The 1953 coup was the wound. Everything since has been the bleeding. Sanctions don't work like most people think. When America sanctions a country, it doesn't just mean Americans can't do business there. It means nobody can. Here's why. The global financial system runs on dollars. Every international bank needs access to the US banking system. Every major transaction clears through New York. If America says, don't do business with Iran, banks listen. Not because they care about American foreign policy, because if they don't listen, they lose access to dollars. And losing access to dollars means death for a bank. So when America sanctioned Iran, it didn't just cut off American trade, it cut off everyone's trade. European companies pulled out. Asian banks stopped processing payments. Iran became a financial island. Oil revenue collapsed. Iran used to export 2.5 million barrels per day. Sanctions cut that to under 500,000, an 80% drop. Imagine losing 80% of your income overnight. That's what happened to the Iranian government. Now, Iran tried to fight back. They built what's called a shadow fleet, secret oil tankers, ships that turn off their tracking systems, transfers at sea to disguise where the oil came from. For a while it worked. Iran was smuggling maybe 1.5 million barrels per day to China. Not as much as before, but enough to survive. Then 2026 happened. In January, international authorities captured the Bella 1, a tanker carrying Iranian oil disguised as Iraqi crude. The whole network was exposed. The same month, Nicolas Maduro was arrested, Venezuela's president, Iran's biggest ally in smuggling oil. 2 blows in 1 month, Iran's secret income stream collapsed, and the rial went into freefall. But here's what the sanctions story doesn't explain. Other countries have been sanctioned: Cuba, North Korea, Venezuela. Their currencies suffered, but they didn't hit zero. What makes Iran different? The answer is inside Iran, and it's uglier than any American sanction. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC. On paper, they're Iran's military. In reality, they're a business empire with guns. The IRGC controls construction companies, telecom networks, oil and gas projects, import-export businesses. Some estimates say they control nearly half of Iran's economy, and they're robbing the country blind. Let me give you one example. In 2024, Iranian investigators uncovered a scheme involving hundreds of fake companies. Here's how it worked. The government gives subsidies for essential imports: medicine, food, industrial equipment. The idea is to keep prices affordable for ordinary people. IRGC-connected businessmen created hundreds of fake companies. They got billions in subsidized dollars. Then they sold those dollars on the black market for rials, pocketed the difference. The medicine and food? Never imported. Billions meant for starving Iranians ended up in the pockets of regime insiders, while the rial collapsed, while inflation soared, while children went hungry. This isn't corruption. This is looting a sinking ship. And here's the darkest part. When the currency collapses, who benefits? Ordinary Iranians have their savings in rials. When the rial falls, their savings evaporate. But the elites, the IRGC commanders, the regime insiders, they converted their money to dollars years ago. They have accounts in Dubai, properties in Turkey, gold in vaults. When the rial crashes, their dollar wealth grows in local terms. They can buy more assets, more property, more businesses. The collapse makes the rich richer. The poor starve. Every hyperinflation in history works this way. The people who caused the crisis profit from it. The victims pay the price. So let's be clear about what's happening to Iran. This isn't just American sanctions. This isn't just bad luck. This is a 70-year cycle. 1953, America steals Iran's oil, installs a dictator. 1979, Iran revolts, takes hostages, becomes America's enemy. 1980, 2025, escalating confrontation, sanctions, counter-sanctions, shadow wars. 2026, the currency finally dies. Each step caused the next. Each wound led to more bleeding. And now Iran is bleeding out. What does $0 actually feel like? Let me take you inside Tehran right now. A teacher named Farida, not her real name, wakes up at 5 a.m. She works 2 jobs, teaches during the day, tutors at night, 12 hours of work. Her combined salary is 400 million rials per month. That's about $270 at today's exchange rate. Her rent is 200 million rials. Utilities are 50 million. Transportation is 30 million. That leaves 120 million rials for food, for a family of 4. For an entire month, that's about $80, $20 per person for a month of food. So Farida's family eats rice every day, meat once a week if they're lucky. Fresh vegetables are a luxury. Fruit is a memory. Her son needs glasses. She can't afford them. Her daughter needs new shoes. She's been wearing the same pair for 2 years. This is what $0 means. Not a number on a screen. A mother choosing between food and medicine. And Farida is middle class. She has 2 jobs. She's educated. The people below her have nothing. Now multiply Farida by 55 million. That's how many Iranians now live below the poverty line in a country of 85 million, almost 2/3 of the population. In 2017, before the harshest sanctions, that number was 25 million. It has more than doubled in 7 years. This is what economic warfare looks like. No bombs, no soldiers, just numbers on a spreadsheet getting worse every day. And here's what makes it different from a normal recession. In a recession, prices fall. People lose jobs, but things get cheaper. Eventually, the economy adjusts, balance returns. In hyperinflation, there's no balance. Prices rise faster than anyone can adjust. The economy eats itself. Businesses can't plan. How do you set prices when the currency falls 10% per week? How do you sign contracts when nobody knows what money will be worth tomorrow? So businesses close, jobs disappear, but prices keep rising anyway. It's a death spiral, and Iran is in the middle of it. The government knows this is happening. They're not stupid. They have economists. They can read the numbers. So why don't they fix it? Because fixing it would require something the regime cannot do: give up control. Here's the basic economics. To stabilize a currency, you need foreign reserves. Dollars, euros, something the world actually values. You get foreign reserves by exporting things. Oil, goods, services. Iran can't export oil because of sanctions. They can't export goods because their factories need imported parts they can't afford. They can't export services because they're cut off from the global banking system. So they have almost no foreign reserves. What do you do when you have no reserves? 2 options. Option 1, make a deal with America, drop the nuclear program, accept inspections, get sanctions lifted. Option 2, print money. Pretend everything is fine, let the currency collapse. The regime chose option 2 because option 1 would mean admitting defeat. It would mean the hardliners were wrong. It would mean everything since 1979 was a mistake. The regime would rather let the currency die than admit they failed. And so the printing presses run. When the government can't pay its bills, it creates money. When state employees need salaries, it creates money. When the IRGC needs funding, it creates money. Every new rial makes every existing rial worth less. In 2020, the money supply was around 30,000 trillion rials. By 2025, it was over 90,000 trillion. Tripled in 5 years. That's not economic policy, that's controlled demolition. The government is destroying its own currency because the alternative, compromise, is unthinkable. Now, you might be wondering, what happens next? History gives us some clues. Venezuela, same pattern: oil economy, sanctions, corruption, money printing, currency collapse. The Venezuelan bolivar hit similar numbers, millions per dollar, then billions. They eventually lopped off zeros and created a new currency, Then that currency collapsed too. Today, Venezuela is a broken state. 6 million refugees. GDP down massively from its peak. A warning to the world about what happens when economies die. Is that Iran's future? There are two scenarios. Scenario 1, the regime survives. Iran limps along like North Korea, poor but stable. A population too exhausted and surveilled to revolt. The elites keep looting. The people keep suffering. Nothing changes except the number of zeros on the currency. This is the most likely outcome. Authoritarian regimes are hard to topple. They control the guns, they control the food distribution, they can make life miserable for everyone while keeping themselves comfortable. Scenario 2, the regime falls. The economic pain becomes unbearable, protests spread. The security forces refuse to shoot. The system cracks. This almost happened in 2022 after Masa Amini's death. Protests in every city. The regime barely held on. Could it happen again? Possibly. Every month of hyperinflation adds more pressure, more anger, more desperation. But revolutions are unpredictable. They depend on moments, on accidents, on individual choices made by people with guns. Nobody can predict when the breaking point comes. Or if it comes at all. So what's the answer? Who killed the Iranian rial? The easy answer is America. Sanctions strangled the economy, cut off oil revenue, isolated Iran from the world. That's true, but it's not the whole truth. The IRGC looted billions while the country starved. The regime printed money rather than compromise. Corruption ate whatever the sanctions didn't take. And behind all of it, the hostility, the confrontation, the 45 years of conflict, sits a single event. August 19th, 1953. The day the CIA overthrew Iran's democracy and installed a dictator. Every Iranian knows that date. It's taught in schools. It's referenced in speeches. It's the founding grievance of the Islamic Republic. America stole Iran's oil. America destroyed Iran's democracy. America cannot be trusted. That narrative, true or not, has shaped every Iranian decision for 70 years. The nuclear program? Deterrence against another coup. The hostage crisis, revenge for 1953, the refusal to negotiate, fear of American betrayal. Every wound traces back to that one day. The Iranian rial didn't hit zero by accident. It was pushed there, by sanctions designed to cause maximum pain, by corruption designed to benefit insiders, by ideology that made compromise impossible. And underneath it all, a wound that never healed. A coup in 1953, a revolution in 1979, 45 years of war by other means, 85 million people caught in the middle. This is what economic death looks like. A currency that displays zero, a loaf of bread that costs a week's wages, a mother choosing between food and medicine. The heist started 70 years ago. The bill is coming due now, and the people paying it had nothing to do with any of it.